The diplomatic ship from Earth moved slowly toward Station Prime. Through the large windows, the space station looked like a small city floating in the darkness. Lights blinked from 1,000 different windows. Ships from dozens of worlds waited in line to dock. Sung Jin stood at the observation window with his hands behind his back. He was 29 years old, and this was his first time leaving Earth's solar system. His heart beat fast with excitement and fear. He had studied alien cultures for 6 years, but reading about them was very different from meeting them. First time at the assembly, a voice asked from behind him. Sung Jin turned to see the ship's medical officer. She was a calm woman with gentle eyes and gray streaks in her black hair. "Yes," Sung Jin admitted. "Is it that obvious?" Smiled. "You have been standing at that window for 3 hours." Sung Jin laughed nervously. "I keep thinking about all the things that could go wrong. They have been making threats about our colony systems. Everyone says their guardian has never lost a fight." He paused and looked around the ship's common area. "Speaking of which, where is our guardian? I have not seen him since we left Earth." Pointed to a corner of the room. A thin man sat alone at a small table. He was reading something on a tablet. His clothes were simple gray fabric worn at the edges. His boots looked old. A scar ran down the left side of his face, and his left eye was covered with a plain black patch. He looked like a maintenance worker, not a warrior. "That is him," said. "That is Ho." Sung Jin stared. "That cannot be right. He looks like a librarian." "He likes books," agreed. "Poetry mostly. But he is supposed to protect humanity. He is supposed to fight the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy." Sung Jin's voice dropped to a whisper. "He is missing an eye. He is thin. He is not even carrying a weapon." Smile faded slightly. "Sung Jin, let me give you some advice. Do not judge things by how they look. The galaxy is full of surprises." Before Sung Jin could respond, the ship's speakers announced that they had arrived. The docking process took another hour. Then the Earth delegation gathered at the main airlock. Ambassador stood at the front. She was 41 years old with sharp eyes and an even sharper mind. She had spent 15 years building relationships with alien species. Every word she spoke was carefully chosen. "Remember," said to her team, "we are here to observe and negotiate. The Centennial Summit happens only once every 100 years. Every major species will send representatives. Stay calm, stay polite, and do not start any incidents." Her eyes moved to Ho, who stood at the back of the group, still reading his tablet. He did not look up. The airlock opened, and the delegation stepped onto Station Prime. The main corridor was enormous. The ceiling was 50 meters high to accommodate the largest species. Beings of every shape and size walked past. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had bodies made of living crystal. Sung Jin tried not to stare, but it was impossible. They made their way to the assembly hall. 2 massive doors, each carved with symbols from 100 worlds, stood open. Inside, the hall was even larger than Sung Jin had imagined. Thousands of seats rose in circles around a central platform. Delegates from 200 species filled the room with noise and movement. And everywhere Sung Jin looked, he saw guardians. The guardian stood near the front. His name was, and he was the most famous warrior in the galaxy. He stood 9 feet tall. His body was covered in thick scales that looked like armor. 4 massive arms hung at his sides, each one thick with muscle. His eyes were red and cold. Around him, smaller warriors watched the crowd with obvious contempt. Near the crystalline had brought their champion. The being was made of living diamond, and light bent strangely around its body. It carried weapons that Sung Jin could not even identify. The guardian was almost as tall as the metal parts had been fused to its body. Guns and blades extended from its arms. It looked more machine than creature. Every guardian was massive. Every guardian carried weapons. Every guardian looked like death walking. And then there was Ho, who had put away his tablet and was now looking around the hall with quiet curiosity, like a tourist visiting a museum. Sungjin felt sick. The Earth delegation found their assigned seats. They were in the outer ring, far from the center, as befitting a young and minor species. Sungjin sat down and tried to make himself small. It did not work. Had noticed them. The Guardian pushed through the crowd, his heavy footsteps shaking the floor. Other delegates moved quickly out of his way. He stopped directly in front of the Earth delegation. So said, his voice was deep and rough like stones grinding together. The humans have come. He looked over the group with obvious amusement. Where is your guardian? I wish to see what kind of warrior protects such a weak species. Stood, Guardian, it is an honor to meet you. Your reputation is well known. I did not ask for flattery, human. I asked to see your guardian. His red eyes scanned the delegation. Unless you were too afraid to bring one. Ho stood up slowly. He closed his tablet and tucked it under his arm. Then he stepped forward and gave a small, polite bow. I am Ho, he said. I am Earth's guardian. The silence lasted 3 seconds, then began to laugh. It was not a small laugh. It was a roar that echoed through the hall. Others joined in. Then other species. Within moments, hundreds of aliens were laughing at the thin human with one eye. Bent down until his face was close to Ho's. His breath smelled like rotting meat. This is a joke, they said. This is Earth's guardian, this wounded little creature. He straightened and spread all 4 arms wide, addressing the hall. Look at humanity's champion, a half-blind weakling who reads poetry. The laughter grew louder. Circled Ho slowly. He poked the human's shoulder with one massive claw. So small, so fragile, I could break you with one hand. I could tear you apart and use your bones to pick my teeth. He leaned close again. Humanity sends a pet to protect them, a wounded pet. Ho said nothing. His face showed no anger. His body showed no fear. He simply stood there, calm and still, while the most dangerous warrior in the galaxy mocked him. Seemed annoyed by the lack of reaction. He pushed Ho's shoulder harder, forcing the human to take a step back. Do you not speak? Are you too stupid to understand, or are you too scared? I understand, Ho said quietly. You are very large and very loud. I have noticed these things. More laughter from the crowd. His eyes narrowed. He was not sure if he had been insulted. Before he could decide, one of his advisors called him away. Some important business needed his attention. The giant warrior gave Ho one last look of contempt. We will speak again, little human, and next time I may not be so gentle. He turned and walked away, the crowd parting before him. Sungjin realized he had been holding his breath. He let it out slowly and looked at Ho with despair. The guardian had already returned to his seat and was reading his tablet again, as if nothing had happened. Sat beside Sungjin. She was watching Ho with an expression he could not read. Ambassador, Sungjin whispered, please tell me we have a backup plan. Please tell me there is someone else who can fight for us. Turned to him with calm eyes. Sungjin, do you know why I chose Ho as our guardian? No, I truly do not understand. Good, said. Neither do they. She nodded toward the aliens who were still chuckling at Earth's pathetic champion, and that is exactly how he wants it. Sungjin looked at Ho again. The guardian turned a page on his tablet. For just a moment, his single eye looked up and met Sungjin's gaze. And in that brief second, Sungjin saw something that made his blood run cold. Behind those calm, quiet eyes, there was something waiting, something patient, something very, very dangerous. Then Ho smiled politely and returned to his poetry. Sungjin did not feel reassured. He felt like he had just seen a predator pretending to sleep. The next 2 days passed slowly. Sungjin attended meetings and took notes. He watched delegates argue about trade routes and resource rights. He learned which species hated each other and which ones pretended to be friends while planning betrayals. But mostly he watched Ho. The guardian did nothing impressive. He attended the sessions quietly. He ate simple meals alone. He spent hours on the observation deck, looking at the stars. Once, Sung Jin saw him doing stretching exercises in an empty corridor, moving slowly and carefully like an old man with bad joints. The other guardians spent their time very differently. They trained in public areas, showing off their strength, lifted weights that would have crushed a human flat. The champion practiced with energy blades that could cut through solid metal. The guardian fired its arm cannons at target drones. Everyone could see who the real warriors were, and everyone could see that Earth's guardian was not among them. On the third day, everything changed. Sung Jin was in the assembly hall when the delegation stood and demanded attention. The speaker, an elder covered in ceremonial scars, spoke in a voice that silenced the room. The Empire claims rightful ownership of the systems known to humans as New Sol, Haven's Rest, and Morning Star, the elder announced. These worlds were surveyed by scouts 300 years before humans arrived. They belong to us by ancient law. The hall erupted in murmurs. These three systems held over 8 million human colonists. Ambassador rose immediately. The claim has no merit. Humans have lived on these worlds for over a century. They were empty when we arrived. There were no settlements, no markers, no evidence of any prior claim. Your ignorance does not erase our rights, the elder replied. We have records, we have proof. The assembly must recognize our claim. The debate went back and forth for hours, but Sung Jin could see where it was heading. They were powerful. They had allies. And there was an ancient law that allowed territorial disputes to be settled in a very specific way. Guardian combat. Stood and the hall fell silent. The massive warrior smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. I grow tired of words, said. Let us settle this matter as warriors. I challenge Earth's guardian to formal combat. The winner takes the three systems. This is the old way. This is the honorable way. He turned to look at Ho, who was sitting in the back of the Earth delegation, reading his tablet as usual. Unless, added with obvious pleasure, the humans are too afraid to accept. The traders in the hall immediately began whispering among themselves. They ran the largest gambling operations in the galaxy, and they could smell profit. Within minutes, betting had opened on the match. The odds against Ho, 47-1. Stood very straight. Earth accepts the challenge, she said. Guardian Ho will represent humanity. Laughed, good. I will try to make his death quick. Perhaps I will only tear off 3 of his limbs before finishing him. He looked around the hall, enjoying the attention. Tomorrow, at the arena, let every species watch what happens to those who reach beyond their proper place. The session ended. The Earth delegation returned to their quarters in heavy silence. Sung Jin could not stay quiet any longer. He followed to her office and closed the door behind him. Ambassador, we need to talk about this. Sat behind her desk, speak. You cannot send Ho to fight, it will be murder. The whole galaxy will watch our guardian get torn apart. Sung Jin's voice shook. We should negotiate, offer something else. There must be another way. There is no other way, said calmly. They want those systems. They want to show the galaxy that humans are weak. If we refuse to fight, we look like cowards. Other species will start making their own claims on our territories. We will be picked apart piece by piece. But Ho will die. Looked at him for a long moment. Sung Jin, sit down. Let me tell you something about Earth's history. Sung Jin sat. Humans, began, have been fighting wars for 10,000 years. We have killed each other in numbers that would shock every species in this hall. We have developed weapons that can burn entire planets. We have created warriors so dangerous that we had to make laws to control them. She leaned forward. Do you know what makes humans different from them? They are stronger and bigger. They are designed for strength. Their bodies are weapons. When a faces an enemy, they use their natural gifts. Eyes were hard. Humans have no natural gifts. We are not strong. We are not fast. We have no claws, no armor, no venom. So we learned. We learned to make tools. We learned to make plans. We learned to fight in ways that others cannot imagine. She stood and walked to the window. They see Ho and they see a weak creature. They do not see 10,000 years of warfare compressed into one man. They do not see the training, the experience, the knowledge. She turned back to Sungjin. That is their mistake. Sungjin wanted to believe her, but he had seen. He had seen those 4 massive arms and those cold red eyes. I hope you are right, he said quietly. Later that night, Sungjin could not sleep. He wandered through the station until he found himself near the medical bay. Through the open door, he saw an Ho. The guardian was sitting on a medical table with his shirt off. Sungjin stopped and stared. Ho's body was a map of violence. Scars covered his chest and back, some thin and precise, others thick and ugly. Burns marked his left shoulder. Claw marks ran down his ribs. A long, jagged line showed where someone had once tried to open him from hip to throat. Was checking his vital signs and applying some kind of medical gel to his joints. Your knee is getting worse, she said. You should have let me replace it years ago. I like my knee, Ho replied. We have been through a lot together. You are going to fight the most dangerous warrior in the galaxy, and your knee might give out at any moment. Ho smiled. Then I will fall down, and then I will get back up. Shook her head but said nothing. Sungjin stepped into the doorway. Both of them looked at him. I am sorry, Sungjin said. I did not mean to interrupt, He looked at Ho's body. I wanted to ask you something. Ask, Ho said. Are you afraid of tomorrow? Ho considered the question. He reached for his tablet and set it aside carefully before answering. Yes, he said. I am always afraid before a fight. Fear is useful. It keeps you alert. It keeps you alive. He looked at Sungjin with his single eye. The warriors who feel no fear are the ones who die young. They take foolish risks. They underestimate their enemies. They think they cannot lose. Does not seem afraid of anything. No, Ho agreed. He does not. That is his weakness, not his strength. Sungjin did not understand, but before he could ask more questions, told him that Ho needed to rest. Sungjin returned to his quarters, but he still could not sleep. He kept thinking about those scars. Every one of them represented a fight that Ho had survived. Every one of them was proof that the quiet man had faced death many times. Maybe, Sungjin thought, maybe there was more to Earth's guardian than anyone realized. But then he remembered 4 arms, his armored scales, his terrible strength, and his hope faded again. Tomorrow the whole galaxy would watch. Tomorrow Ho would step into the arena against a monster. And Sungjin was almost certain that humanity's guardian would not walk out again. The arena was the largest structure on Station Prime. It could hold 50,000 spectators, and today every seat was filled. Beings from 200 species had come to watch the fight. Most of them had come to see a human die. Sungjin sat in the Earth delegation's box, high above the arena floor. His hands were shaking. Beside him, Ambassador sat perfectly still, her face showing nothing. Was in the medical station on the ground level, ready with emergency equipment that Sungjin suspected would not be needed. Dead men did not need doctors. The arena floor was a circle 200 meters wide. The surface was smooth metal designed for combat. There was no cover, no obstacles, no place to hide. Bright lights shone down from above, leaving no shadows. Everything about the arena favored the stronger fighter. A horn sounded, deep and long. The entrance opened first, walked out to the screaming cheers of thousands. He was even more terrifying in the arena light. His scales gleamed like dark metal. His 4 arms swung at his sides, each one ending in claws that could tear through steel. He carried his ceremonial blade, a weapon taller than most humans, curved and brutal. Reached the center of the arena and raised all 4 arms. The crowd roared louder. He turned slowly, showing himself to every section of spectators, enjoying their worship. Then the human entrance opened. Ho walked out barefoot. He wore simple gray training clothes, loose and worn. He carried no weapon. His hands were empty. His face was calm. The arena fell silent for a moment. Then the laughter began. It started small, just a few chuckles from the section. Then it spread. Soon thousands of beings were laughing at Earth's guardian. Some pointed. Some made gestures of contempt. The traders were already celebrating their easy profits. Ho ignored them all. He walked to the center of the arena and stopped 10 meters from. He bowed once, a simple gesture of respect. Did not bow back. I gave you a chance to run, the said. You should have taken it. I am not very good at running, Ho replied. His red eyes narrowed. Then you will die here slowly. The arena master, a large being, flew to a platform above the floor. His voice boomed through speakers around the arena. This is formal guardian combat. The dispute is territorial. The combat ends when one guardian yields, dies, or is unable to continue. Standard rules apply. No outside interference. No weapons not declared before the match. The arena master paused. Guardian has declared his ceremonial blade. Guardian Ho has declared no weapons. More laughter from the crowd. May honor guide your hands, the arena master finished. Begin. Charged immediately. He moved faster than something that big should be able to move. His 4 arms spread wide, ready to grab, crush, tear. His massive blade swept through the air in a killing arc. Ho was not there. The human moved sideways, a small step that carried him just beyond the blade's reach. Swing cut empty air. The stumbled slightly, surprised. He spun and attacked again, and again, and again. Each time Ho slipped away. He did not block. He did not counterattack. He simply moved, always just far enough, never more than necessary. It was like watching water flow around stones. The crowd grew quiet. This was not what they expected. Roared in frustration. He launched a flurry of strikes, all 4 arms working together, his blade and claws creating a storm of violence. Any one hit would have killed a human instantly. None of them landed. Ho moved through the assault like a ghost. His steps were small and precise. His body twisted and bent in ways that should not have been possible. He was always one breath ahead of the attacks, always in the space between danger. Sungjin watched with his mouth open. He had never seen anything like it. Ho was not fighting. He was dancing. 3 minutes passed, was breathing hard. His attacks grew wilder, less controlled. The human had not even been scratched. Stand still, screamed. Fight me like a warrior. Ho did not answer. He continued to move, continued to study his opponent. His single eye tracked every motion, every pattern, every weakness. Then he began his counterattack. It started with a single strike. As lunged forward, Ho stepped inside his reach and drove his palm into a spot on this lower left arm. It was a small hit, almost gentle. His lower left arm went limp. The crowd gasped. They stared at his own arm in disbelief. He could not move it. He could not feel it. What did you do? He demanded. Nerve cluster, Ho said quietly. Between the 3rd and 4th scales. Difficult to reach but not impossible. Screamed in rage and swung his blade with his remaining 3 arms. But now he was unbalanced. His attacks were slower, easier to predict. Ho struck again and again. Each hit was precise, surgical. He targeted joints, pressure points, the soft spots between armored scales. His fists and feet moved in patterns that Sungjin could not follow. Every strike was designed not just to hurt, but to disable. Within 2 minutes, his lower right arm was also hanging useless. The arena was completely silent now. Backed away, breathing hard. His scales were cracked in several places. Purple blood dripped from wounds he had not even felt being made. 2 of his 4 arms would not respond. "This is not possible," he growled. "You are weak, you are nothing." "I am human," Ho said. "We have been fighting for a very long time. We have learned a few things." Roared and charged again, but now it was desperation, not confidence. Ho and delivered a kick to the knee. Something cracked, stumbled but did not fall. For the next 5 minutes the fight continued, but it was no longer a fight, it was a lesson. Ho took apart piece by piece. He broke the warrior's assumptions about strength and size. He proved that speed and precision could defeat raw power. Every time attacked, he paid for it with another wound, another disabled limb, another crack in his armor. And through it all, Ho's face remained calm. There was no anger in his eyes, no hatred, just focus. Finally collapsed to one knee, 3 of his arms hung useless. His blade had fallen from his grip. Purple blood pooled beneath him. His breath came in ragged gasps. "Yield," Ho said quietly. "This is over." Looked up at him with burning hate. "Never," he spat. "I will never yield to a weak, pathetic human. I will never." His working arm moved, but not toward Ho. It moved to his belt where a hidden compartment opened. Light blazed as a plasma blade activated, burning white-hot. The arena master's voice echoed through the speakers. "Illegal weapon. Guardian has violated the rules of combat. The match is—" "No," interrupted, rising to his feet despite his wounds. "I do not care about rules. I do not care about honor. I will kill this human even if it costs me everything." He lunged at Ho with the plasma blade, its heat scorching the air. The crowd watched in horror. The illegal weapon changed everything. One touch from that blade would burn through flesh and bone like paper. Ho's expression did not change. He simply adjusted his stance slightly. The real fight was just beginning. The plasma blade hummed through the air, leaving trails of heat that distorted the light around it. Swung with desperate fury, all pretense of skill abandoned. He wanted only one thing now, to kill the human who had humiliated him. Ho moved differently now. His dodges were more careful. One mistake would mean death. The plasma blade could cut through armor, through bone, through anything. There was no blocking it, no deflecting it, only avoiding it. In the medical station, gripped the edge of her console. Beside her, several alien medics watched the screens showing the fight. "What is he doing?" one of them asked. "Why does he not run? The rules have been broken. He could withdraw." Shook her head slowly. "You do not understand humans," she said. "We do not run from fights, we finish them." Back in the arena, Ho was adapting. He studied the plasma blade's movements, calculating its length, its speed. The way his damaged body affected his reach. Within seconds, he had mapped the new danger. Slashed downward. Ho stepped forward instead of back, moving inside the arc of the blade. His hand shot out and grabbed a loose scale plate that had cracked during the earlier fight. He tore it free from his chest. The screamed in pain and swung wildly. Ho rolled under the attack, coming up with the scale plate held like a small shield. It was not much, but it was something. "You cannot win," growled. "You cannot match me. I will burn you alive." Ho did not waste breath on words. He was conserving everything now, every bit of energy, every thought. This was survival at its level. The fight became something brutal and beautiful, attacked with the rage of a wounded predator. Ho countered with the patience of a hunter who had chased prey across endless distances. He used the scale plate to deflect glancing blows. He used the arena's open space to stay mobile. He used injuries against him. In the stands, Sung Jin had stopped breathing. He watched Ho move and suddenly understood what Ambassador had been trying to tell him. This was what 10,000 years of human warfare looked like. This was the result of endless battles, endless evolution, endless refinement of the art of killing. Humans had no natural weapons, so they had made themselves into weapons. Every part of Ho's body was trained. Every movement was efficient. Every decision was made in fractions of a second. The other species in the arena were watching with new eyes. The laughter was long gone. Now there was only silence and growing fear. Lunged again. This time Ho did not dodge. He caught the weapon arm with both hands and twisted. The angle was precise, leveraging the already damaged joints. Bone cracked. The plasma blade fell from his grip and deactivated when it hit the ground. Before the could react, Ho struck him in the throat, then the eyes, then the knee again, the same one he had damaged before. Fell, crashing to the arena floor like a mountain collapsing. Ho stood over his fallen enemy. He was breathing hard now, sweat dripping from his face. Blood stained his gray clothes, some of it his own from minor burns where the plasma blade had come too close. Lay on his back, all four arms useless, both legs unable to support him. He stared up at the human with eyes full of hatred and disbelief. "Kill me," demanded. "Finish it, that is the warrior's way." The crowd waited. Under assembly law, Ho had every right to kill his opponent, had broken the rules first. He had tried to murder with an illegal weapon. Death was expected. Death was traditional. Ho looked down at the broken warrior beneath him. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he knelt beside. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, meant only for the two of them. "I could kill you," Ho said. "It would be easy, and by your own laws it would be justified." He paused. "But I am not going to do that." "Why?" demanded. "Are you too weak, too afraid?" "No," Ho shook his head slowly. "I am not killing you because death is not strength. Death is just an ending. Any creature can kill. It takes nothing special to destroy." He leaned closer. "Real strength is choosing not to kill when you could. Real strength is mercy when revenge would be easier. Your people have forgotten this. You think power means domination. You think victory means destruction." He stood up. "You are wrong." Stared at him, confusion mixing with his hatred. Ho turned and began walking toward the Earth delegation's exit. The arena was completely silent. 50,000 beings watched the small human walk away from his defeated enemy. No one knew how to react. This was not how Guardian combat ended. This was not how warriors behaved. In the Earth delegation's box, Ambassador allowed herself a small smile. In the medical station, wiped tears from her eyes. She had seen Ho fight many times, but this was the first time she had seen him show the galaxy what humanity truly valued. Sungjin sat frozen in his seat. His understanding of strength, of power, of what it meant to be a warrior was being completely rewritten. Then saw something on her monitors. "Ho," she shouted into her communicator, "behind you." Ho stopped walking. Behind him was moving. Somehow, despite his wounds, that was dragging himself toward the fallen plasma blade. His working claw was reaching for the weapon. "You dare turn your back on me," screamed, blood and foam spraying from his mouth. "You dare show me mercy like I am some weak creature to be. I will not accept it. I will never accept it." His claw touched the plasma blade. Ho did not turn around. "You have a choice," he said calmly. "You can pick up that weapon and try to kill me. I will stop you, and this time I will not be gentle. You will die here, broken and dishonored, remembered only as the warrior who could not accept defeat." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Or," he continued, "you can let go of the blade. You can yield. And you can spend the rest of your life learning what true strength really means." His claw closed around the plasma blade's handle. The entire arena held its breath. Seconds passed, they felt like hours. His claw trembled. His red eyes burned with conflicting emotions: rage, shame, confusion, and something new, something that might have been doubt. Slowly, painfully, his claw opened. The plasma blade rolled away from his reach. "I yield," said, the words sounding like they were being torn from his throat. "Earth's guardian is victorious." The arena master announced the formal result. Earth's 3 colony systems were safe. The territorial dispute was settled. Humanity had won. But nobody cheered. The crowd sat in stunned silence, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. A small, wounded human had defeated the greatest warrior in the galaxy, and then he had shown mercy. It was impossible. It was unthinkable. It was human. Ho walked out of the arena without looking back. He did not celebrate. He did not acknowledge the crowd. He simply left like a man finishing a day's work. In the medical station, he found waiting for him. She started treating his burns without speaking. She did not need to say anything. She knew him too well. After a few minutes, Sung-jin appeared in the doorway. His face was pale. "How?" the young asked. "How did you do that?" Ho looked at him with tired eyes. "Do what?" "All of it, the fighting, the mercy, the—" Sung-jin struggled for words. "Everything." Ho considered the question. "I am just a man," he said finally. "I am afraid and I get hurt and I bleed. I am not special." He winced as applied medicine to a burn on his shoulder. "But I am human, and that means I carry 10,000 years of my people's history with me, their wars, their mistakes, their lessons." He looked at Sung-jin with something that might have been hope. "We learned that the greatest victory is one where your enemy becomes your friend. We learned that mercy is not weakness. It is the ultimate strength." Sung-jin did not know what to say. Outside, the galaxy was beginning to talk. News of the fight was spreading to every inhabited world. Species that had dismissed humanity as weak and unimportant were suddenly paying attention. Earth's guardian had shown them something new. And the universe would never see humanity the same way again. The days following the fight were strange ones for the Earth delegation. Where once they had been ignored or mocked, now they were watched. Wherever ambassador went, delegates from other species found excuses to speak with her. Trade proposals arrived daily. Alliance requests piled up on her desk. The traders had lost enormous fortunes betting against Ho. Some of them came to the Earth quarters not with anger, but with respect. They had underestimated humans once. They would not make that mistake again. Those proud bird-like beings who had considered humanity primitive sent a formal request for cultural exchange. They wanted to study human history, human warfare, and most surprisingly, human philosophy. "They want to understand how we think," explained to her team during a morning briefing. "They cannot believe that we would choose mercy over killing. It does not fit their models of behavior." Sung-jin listened quietly. He had changed since the fight. The idealistic nervousness was still there, but it was tempered now with something deeper. He had seen what humanity could be, and it had affected him. After the briefing, he went looking for Ho. He found the Guardian on the observation deck, as usual. Ho was sitting in his favorite chair, looking out at the stars. His injuries were healing, though he moved more stiffly than before. The burns would leave new scars to add to his collection. "May I join you?" Sung-jin asked. Ho nodded, without looking away from the window. Sung-jin sat in the chair beside him. For a while, neither of them spoke. They just watched the slow movement of ships against the backdrop of space. "I wanted to thank you," Sung-jin finally said, "for what you did. 8 million people on those colonies will never know how close they came to losing everything, but I know, and I wanted to thank you." Ho smiled slightly. "You do not need to thank me. I was just doing my job." "No," Sung-jin shook his head. "You did more than that. You showed the entire galaxy what humanity stands for. That is not just a job, that is—" he searched for the right word. "That is something bigger." Ho turned to look at him. His single eye studied the young diplomat's face. "Let me tell you something, Sung-jin. When I was a soldier, I did many things I am not proud of. I have killed. I have caused pain. I have done what was necessary in the moment and paid for it in the nights that followed." He looked back at the stars. "Every scar on my body represents a failure, a moment where I could not find a better way. A failure, but you survived, you won. Survival is not victory. Winning is not success." Ho's voice was quiet. "True success is when nobody has to die. True victory is when enemies become allies. I learned this too late in my life. I spent years being a weapon when I should have been learning to be something more. Sung Jin considered this. Is that why you spared to be something more? I spared him because killing him would have solved nothing. He would have been dead and they would have only hated us more. They would have wanted revenge. There would have been more fighting, more death. Ho shook his head. But mercy plants a seed. It makes people think. It forces them to ask questions they have never asked before. Do you think we'll change? I do not know, maybe not. But at least now he has the chance to try. They sat in silence again. Outside, a passenger ship moved past the observation window, its lights blinking in the darkness. What happens now? Sungjin asked. Now we go home eventually. I will rest. I will read my poetry. I will wait until the next time I am needed. Ho smiled. And you will continue your diplomatic work. You will build relationships. You will make connections. That is how humanity truly wins, not through fighting but through understanding. 3 weeks later, the Centennial Summit ended. The Earth delegation prepared to return home, but before they left, they received an unexpected visitor. A young female appeared at their quarters. She was smaller than most of her species, with scales that had not yet darkened with age. She moved nervously, clearly uncomfortable being so far from her own people. She asked to speak with Ho. Ambassador brought her to the observation deck, where Ho was sitting in his usual chair. He looked up as they approached. Guardian Ho, the young said formally, my name is I am. I was student, his apprentice. Ho nodded but said nothing. Continued, her voice unsteady. When returned from the arena, he was broken, not just his body but his spirit. He could not understand what had happened. He could not understand why you spared him. She paused, gathering her courage. He has been thinking, questioning. For the first time in his life, he is unsure of everything he believed. And how do you feel about that? Ho asked. I feel confused. I was taught that strength means domination, that victory means destruction, that mercy is weakness. Claws tightened. But you showed something different. You were clearly stronger than at the end. You could have killed him easily, and you chose not to. She took a deep breath. Sent me here, he wants to understand. He wants to learn what strength really means, the kind of strength you showed him. Her eyes met Ho's. He asked me to be his messenger, but I am here for myself as well. I want to learn too. Ho studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled. Sit down, he said, gesturing to the chair beside him. Hesitated, then sat. Her large frame made the chair look small, but she tried to make herself comfortable. Tell me, Ho said, what do you know about Earth? Very little, admitted. We were taught that humans are weak, that your world is primitive, that you do not matter. And now? Was quiet for a moment. Now I think we were wrong. Ho nodded slowly. Earth is a difficult world. We call it a death world, actually. The gravity is strong. The weather is violent. Predators evolved everywhere. Diseases spread quickly. Compared to many planets in the galaxy, Earth is harsh and dangerous. Then how did humans survive? We helped each other. Ho looked out at the stars. When we were weak, we formed tribes. When predators hunted us, we built walls. When disease spread, we created medicine. Every challenge made us work together. Every disaster taught us to cooperate. He turned to, your species evolved strength. You did not need to cooperate because you were powerful enough alone. But humans, we had nothing except each other. So we learned that the group is stronger than the individual. We learned that building is better than destroying. We learned that making friends is smarter than making enemies. Listened carefully. That is why I showed mercy to, Ho continued. Not because I am weak, not because I was afraid, but because killing him would have been the easy choice, the lazy choice. Mercy is harder. It requires you to think about the future, not just the present. It requires you to see your enemy as someone who might someday be your ally. Can enemies truly become allies? They can. It happens all the time on Earth. Nations that fought terrible wars against each other now work together. People who hated each other learn to understand each other. Ho smiled. It is not easy. It takes time and effort and patience. But it is possible, and when it works, it creates something stronger than any empire built on fear. Sat in silence, processing his words. Finally, she stood and bowed deeply, a gesture of profound respect that Ho had never seen from her. "Thank you," she said. "I have much to think about, and much to teach if he will listen." "He will listen," Ho said. "He is not stupid, only proud, and pride can be overcome." Nodded and left. Ambassador watched her go, then turned to Ho with a raised eyebrow. "Did you just start a philosophical revolution in the Empire?" "Maybe," Ho said. "Or maybe just planted a small seed. We will see what grows." 1 month later, the Earth delegation returned home. Sung Jin went back to his studies, but he never forgot what he had witnessed. Years later, he would become an ambassador himself, known for his patience and his belief that every enemy could become a friend. Continued patching up Ho after his fights, though there were fewer of them now. Word had spread through the galaxy. Few species wanted to challenge Earth's guardian. Ho returned to his simple life. He read poetry, he watched the sunrise, he waited. And across the galaxy, species that had once laughed at humanity began to whisper a new warning to their children. Be careful with humans. They look weak, but they are not. They seem soft, but they survive everything. And their guardian, do not judge him by his size or his scars. The quiet ones are always the most dangerous. But there was another saying that spread even further. If you face a human and they offer you mercy, take it, because they are giving you something precious. They are giving you a second chance. They are giving you hope. And that, perhaps, was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Not strength, not victory, but the chance to become something better.